Hello to all my story lovers. Today I am going to read the next part of The Goldfish Don't Take Bubble Bath. If you like this story, then subscribe my channel, like this, comment it, okay? Now I am going to read story for you. 9th chapter divided in two. As she walked down the halfway, Abby hoped her parents wouldn't ask why she would be gone so long. But when she let herself into her apartment, she was in luck. It was silent. She tiptoed down the hall when she saw the do not disturb sign on the studio door. She breathed a little easier. Mom often lost track of time when she was painting. Tess, Abby called. Where are you? A muffled bark came from the kitchen. Abby found Tess at the table, eating a peanut butter and banana sandwich. One of her more disgusting habits, Abby thought. Where's Dad? She asked, crawling. Tess had to swallow a mouthful of sandwich before she could answer. He went to the store, she said when she could speak again. We were out of milk. Abby came right to the point. Did you tell them what happened? Tess looked guilty. No way, I swear. You would better be telling me the truth, said Abby, because the whole mess was your fault. Will Speedy and Slowpoke be okay? Tess asked in small and worried voice. Abby glared at her. Yes, I cleaned their tank and everything, but you almost killed them, you know. Tess put down her sandwich. I'm really sorry, Abby, she whimpered. I didn't mean to hurt them. I just wanted to help. I don't need any more of your help, said Abby. All you do is ruin things. You ruined my trip to the library. You nearly ruined my fish sitting job, and I am sick and tired of it. But, Tess began. Abby interrupted her again. I mean it, Tess. I am tired of you always tagging along and bugging me. I am tired of watching you act like a silly dog. And, she said, losing her temper entirely, I am tired of sharing a room with you. Tess said nothing. She just stared Abby with wide eyes. She didn't even cry. Furious, Abby spun around and left the kitchen. When she got to their bedroom, she went straight to her desk drawer and pulled out a big roll of white masking tape. She had used it last week to make a kite. The kite Tess had destroyed by using it as a chew toy. Abby peeled the end of the tape loose and starting as high up as she could reach, she made a tape line down the wall. When she reached the floor, she pulled the tape across the carpet all the way to the door, pressing it down firmly to make sure it stuck. She stood up and looked at her handiwork. The room was neatly divided in two. Her bed, bookshelf, and desk were on one side of the tape. Tess' bed, toy box, dresser were on the other. Now Tess wouldn't be able to bother her. Abby would finally be free of her strange, pesky little sister. Now the next chapter, Little Kids Are Strange. For 3 days, Abby didn't speak to Tess. Each time Tess tried to talk to her, Abby turned away or stared right through her. At night, when Tess was in her bed on the other side of the room, Abby pretended her sister wasn't even there. Abby didn't want to walk to school with her either, but she had no choice. It was a strict family rule that the girls walk to and from school together every day. But that didn't mean Abby had to talk to Tess or even look at her. Abby could tell it made Tess feel bad. Usually, Tess was a noisy kid, always laughing or singing or barking, but lately she had been very quiet. She didn't tag alone after Abby anymore. She didn't try and do the same things Abby was doing or bug Abby to play with her. Abby told herself she was glad things were much better this way. Even the kids at school noticed something was different. "What's wrong with Tess?" asked Abby's friend Rachel. They were standing near the basketball court at recess eating snacks from their lunches. "She looks like she lost her best friend." "I am mad at her," said Abby. "She is always bugging me, ruining things. I am tired of it." Rachel nodded. "I know what you mean. My little brother can be a pest too. Yesterday he took my favorite nail polish and used the whole bottle to paint his toy truck. I could have strangled him." "She almost killed the goldfish I am taking care of," Abby said. She crumpled her granola bar wrapper and tossed it into the garbage can. She thought they would like bubbles in their tank. "Can you believe that? Little kids are strange." Rachel agreed. "My brother thinks he is Superman. He won't go to sleep unless he's got his Superman pajamas on. Sometimes he even wears them under his clothes." Abby nodded. "That's weird, all right. But at least he doesn't bark at strangers on the street." "I think your sister is cute," said Rachel. She pulled her skipping rope out of her jacket pocket and started skipping backward people. The rope twirled faster and faster until it snagged on her heel. She stopped and caught her breath. "You should talk to her. You can't stay mad at her forever." Abby frowned. She was still angry at Tess for almost ruining her plans to become a pet sitter. Rachel was a good friend, but she didn't understand what it was like to live with a sister who acted like a dog. As Abby walked home after school that day, she thought about what Rachel had said. Tess trailed along behind her. They came to the pet store as usual. They stopped to look in the window. All the puppies had been sold. In their place was a hamster in cage. At least Abby thought it was a hamster. Maybe it was a baby guinea pig. She couldn't really be sure because it was curled up in a ball, half buried under wood chips. Abby opened her mouth to say something to Tess, then changed her mind. She wasn't ready to make up just yet. Tess had to learn that she couldn't act so crazy all the time. Little kids don't bark or howl or scratch their fleas, and they certainly don't put dish detergent in the aquarium. The strap on Abby's backpack pinched her neck. She shrugged it off and slung it over the shoulder. They started down the sidewalk again. Abby's backpack was only really heavy on the days her class visited the school library. She thought about the books she would found on fish. They were different from the ones she would check out of the town library. Maybe she had learned something new. When they reached their building, Mom was in front of the lobby getting the mail. She had a magazine and a few envelopes in her hand. If she noticed the silence between Abby and Tess, she didn't mention it. As soon as they were in the apartment, Tess dumped her backpack on the floor and disappeared down the long hall. Abby dropped her beside it and followed Mom into the kitchen. Abby grabbed an apple from the bowl on the table. I'm going over to feed the fish. Are you taking Tess? Asked Mom. Abby frowned. Nope, she is staying here with you. She could tell Mom had noticed something was wrong. It would be impossible not to notice. Abby had caught Mom watching them over the last few days with a worried look on her face. But so far she hadn't said anything. Abby was glad. She knew Mom wouldn't understand her feelings. She would be on Tess' side as usual. Okay, that just don't be too long. Dad will be home for supper early today, said Mom. Abby headed for the door. She wasn't planning on being gone long. Fish sitting Speedy and Slowpoke wasn't that much fun anymore. For one thing, fish weren't affectionate like other animals. Puppies wagged their tails, slobbered all over you. Kittens rub up against your legs and purr. But goldfish? All they did was eat and swim and stare at you through the glass. After a while, that got boring. Now, next chapter. So very, very sorry. Every day for the last 3 days, Abby had gone to Mrs. Wilson's apartment to take care of the fish. She fed them, checked their water, and made sure they got plenty of oxygen. She even treated them to a few lettuce leaves. She knew she was doing a good job, but she wouldn't exactly call it exciting. Sometimes it was even a little spooky. The apartment was so quiet and empty except for the refrigerator, which made strange knocking noises. And yesterday she could have sworn she heard a weird scratching sound coming from the bathroom. It was probably nothing. Still, she had almost wished Tess was there with her. Oh well, she thought as she walked down the hall. Mrs. Wilson will be home soon. Then I can start thinking about my next job. Maybe a nice kitten. When she got to Mrs. Wilson's door, she reached for the string around her neck. Her hand touched bare skin. Surprise! Abby felt for the 2 keys. They were gone. Abby couldn't believe it. With a cry of dismay, she grabbed her shirt and shook it, hoping the keys would fall out of them. Nothing happened. I can't have lost them, she whispered frantically. She searched her pockets, though she knew she never put her keys in her pockets. She walked the length of the hallway, inspecting every inch of carpet. They had to be here somewhere. They just had to. What was she going to do? Today was Wednesday. Mrs. Wilson was coming home on Friday. The fish sitting job was almost over. She only had to be responsible for 2 more days. How could this be happening to her now? Abby couldn't blame this on Tess. Ever since that first day, Tess hadn't even asked to tag along. The only person Abby had to blame was herself. Suddenly, she felt a little like Tess must have felt after squirting dish detergent into the aquarium. Helpless and upset and so very, very sorry. She hadn't meant to lose the keys. She didn't know how it could have happened. She was always so careful, but somehow, just like Tess, she would cause a disaster. Okay, just calm down, she told herself firmly. She sat down on the carpet with her back against the wall. I have got to think, when was the last time I used my keys? Abby closed her eyes and tried to focus. She would fed the fish yesterday, so she definitely had the keys then. She remembered locking Mrs. Wilson's door. She also remembered putting the string around her neck this morning when she got dressed for school. So far, so good. But after school, mom had met them in the lobby and walked up to the apartment with them, which meant Abby didn't have to use her key, which meant she had lost her keys sometime between the breakfast and now. Maybe it had happened on the walk to the school or in a gym class while they were playing soccer in the schoolyard, or while she was keeping at recess. Abby's heart sank. Her keys could be anywhere. How would she ever find them? It was impossible. The keys were gone for good. Tears filled Abby's eyes. She pressed her hands against her face and forced herself to take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world. She tried to convince herself. I am smart. I can figure a way out of this mess. I just have to concentrate. Maybe she could go home and pretend that she would feed the fish as usual. Tomorrow she could leave the apartment and pretend to feed them again. Going without food for 2 days wouldn't kill them. Then she could say she would put the keys back in the kitchen. Nobody would know she hadn't, and mom might even think she lost them herself. But that would be a lie. A whole bunch of lies. There had to be another way. Maybe she could go to the building superintendent and ask him to make copies of the keys. He had the originals after all. Except he would likely call her parents, and making new keys would probably cost a lot of money. Abby only had a few dollars in her pocket. She hadn't gotten paid for fish sitting yet, and now she probably wouldn't get paid at all. She was out of ideas. I guess I will just have to tell mom that I mess up. She mourned to herself. She rested her forehead against her knees, tried not to cry. This was my big chance to prove myself, and I blew it. With a heavy feet, Abby went back down the hallway. She dreaded telling her parents what had happened. Even if they didn't get mad, they certainly wouldn't let her pet sit again any time soon. Her wonderful plan was ruined, destroyed, and it was her own fault. Abby thought of hard times she would been giving Tess lately. Suddenly she felt bad. Sure, Tess had made a mistake, a huge one. But then again, so had Abby. Losing her keys had been an accident, but that didn't change the fact that she would mess up too. Abby decided it was time to have talk with Tess, especially before she broke the bad news to mom. She would apologize for getting so angry and for staying angry for such a long time. She just hoped Tess would forgive her. Getting the scent. 12th chapter. Abby found Tess sprawled out on her half of the bedroom floor, paging through a book. Usually, Tess got Abby to help her sound out the words, but not lately. She glanced up when Abby walked in. I want to talk to you, Tess, Abby began. I didn't go over the line, Tess quickly assured her. That's not it, said Abby. She looked at the masking tape on the wall and carpet. In fact, I think it's time to take the tape down. Really? Asked Tess. She looked puzzled. But I thought you said. Abby said. I said a lot of things. Most of it wasn't even true. I know I hurt your feelings and I want to say I am sorry. Tess was surprised. You do? Yes, Abby nodded. I shouldn't have said you are strange. That was mean. If you want to act like a dog, that's up to you. I shouldn't have tried to make you feel bad. I'm sorry. That's okay, said Tess. No, it's not. I shouldn't have stayed mad at you for long either. And as for this, Abby went over to the wall and began peeling off the tape. Let's go back to the sharing room, the whole room. Are you sure? Asked Ted doubtfully. What about the bubbles? I almost ruined everything. Abby shrugged. Everybody makes Everybody makes mistake. Besides, it doesn't even matter anymore. My pet sitting days are over. But why? Tess cried. It's a great idea. Abby nodded sadly. It was a great idea, a perfect idea. Too bad I went and ruined it all by myself. What do you mean? Asked Tess. I lost Mrs. Wilson's key, Abby admitted reluctantly. Actually, I lost my house key too. Now I have to tell mom and dad, and I know what's going to happen. First, they will tell me how disappointed they are, and then they will say I am not responsible enough to pet sit. I guess they will be right. But you just said it's okay to make mistakes, Tess pointed out. Maybe they will give you another chance. Abby crumpled the long string of masking tape into a sticky ball. This was my chance and I blew it. Tess thought for a minute, then jumped to her feet. I can help you find your keys, she said, panting eagerly. Abby shook her head. I haven't seen them since this morning. They could be anywhere. But you are forgetting something, Tess cried. She gave an excited bark and pointed to her nose. My super sense of smell. Dogs can find anything with their noses. Abby smiled faintly, but shook her head again. Thanks, Tess, but I don't think that would help. Tess put her hands on her hips and stared Abby straight in eyes. You said it was okay to act like a dog. It is, Abby protested. I just don't think you will be able to sniff out my keys. I would better go to tell mom and dad. Just give me a chance, pleaded Tess. She curled her hands under her chin like a dog begging for a treat. If I don't find them, then you can tell. Abby hesitated. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to look for the keys before she confessed her big mistake. Two pairs of eyes or even noses would be better than one. It was a long shout, but maybe with Tess helping her. Well, she checked her watch. We have got an hour before supper. Maybe we could look around a bit. I mean sniff around. Woof! Barked Tess. She bounced across the floor and sniffed Abby's shirt enthusiastically. Hey, watch it, said Abby, taking a step back. What are you doing? Getting the sand, Tess explained. She sniffed some more. Okay, got it. Let's go. Abby rolled her eyes but didn't say anything. Tess was a little off the wall, but Abby had learned her lesson. If Tess wanted to smell her shirt to get the scent, then Abby wasn't going to stop her. And if she actually found the keys, Abby would personally go and buy her the biggest, squeakiest chew toy she could find. At the front door, Tess got down on all fours and snuffed through the shoes and the jackets. Their backpacks lay on the floor in a heap. Hey, Abby said, thinking out loud, maybe my key string got tangled up with my backpack. It's possible. They started pawing at the backpacks. They looked in them, under them, and all around them. They checked the straps and zippers just in case the string had gotten caught. Tess even checked in her lunchbox. No keys. Oh well. Abby's shoulders slumped. I didn't really expect to find them anyway. Tess wasn't discouraged. Where do we go now? She asked. Abby tried to think logically. I guess we should retrace my steps. Do we have to walk backwards? Asked Tess. Abby laughed. No, we don't have to walk backwards. We just have to go to all the places I have been today.